Yo guys, what's going on? Fluidz GFX here, and in today's video I will be doing the highly requested banner tutorial. So the full banner tutorial will be over the span of 4 parts where I'll cover all important aspects of making a banner, and in today's part we're going to be going over the basic steps of making a banner. This will include color scheming, shading and lighting. So just before you start, you will need Adobe Photoshop, and you can use any version from 2014 and above. And you will also need a render to use in your banner, but you don't have to, it's an optional thing. So without any further ado, let's get into it. So guys, I'm currently in Photoshop right now and I've got a basic setup, so just one render and like a background. So it's really important that you adjust the render properly. And now I'm going to move on to the next step, which is how I add the lighting to the background. So what I'm going to do is add a gradient, and depending on your color scheme, for which right now it's blue because it's a blue render, I'm going to take a blue gradient, and what I normally like to take is reflected, but you can always try out the other ones. But personally I take reflected and put it to 0 degrees. So now the layer style is also up to you, but I often choose the one which looks best, but for now I'm going to choose overlay. So in this next part, which is also does the same thing, is using a gradient map, and this is always up to you. You can either use a gradient map or you can use gradient fill. They both look the exact same or really similar. So now the next part will be shading and lighting to the character. So what you have to do is just create a new layer and clip it to the render, and using your paintbrush tool, you're going to add the shadings. So when you're painting, if you want to adjust the size of your brush, you can use the 2 bracket style keys, which are next to the P on your keyboard. So what I like to do is add like white lights, and the next thing you have to do is add a filter, which is the Gaussian blur filter. So what this does is still adds the pop and blends it in at the same time. So you have to make sure you have linear dodge on at all times, and you can use the same strategy with the black color to add different shadows. So one thing you have to make sure is that after you add more like color to it, you also have to use the Gaussian blur filter again. So what I'm doing right now is just adding some more lights to some parts where I want to enhance the light or add more lighting. So as you can see, I'm going to do Gaussian blur multiple times again, and removes like where the lighting's too strong. So this is also up to you. It depends on how you like your lighting, and you can see the difference between the 2 renders when you're using the shading and the no shading. So the next part is adding exposure. This is also brings more life into your render, and I don't really play with the hue that much. It's mainly the saturation, and this next thing, which is called a photo filter, kind of tints the render in the color you choose. For example, I chose the blue one, so this tints the render in that color. Now moving on to the next step is where I'll be adding lighting to the background and shading the background. So this is also where color scheme comes into play. You have to use the same colors that like fit with your banner. So I'm going to be using the same colors on the skin, which is the light blue, and you want to add that light to behind the render so it pops out. And then for the background, you want to just select a lighter version of the color you selected earlier, and then just shade around the lighting here, like the center of the circle, which is where your render is. And obviously in the end, you always have to add Gaussian blur. That's the most important step to make your colors glow more and like have more impact. So when you want to use like a layer style, you shouldn't always use just multiplier linear dodge. Like I like experimenting with different layer styles, and this actually helps improve your GFX at the same time. So that's the end of part 1, guys. I will be dropping part 2 really soon, where we'll be going over 3D text and layer styles. So if you guys are excited for that, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, and make sure you have notifications on so you get notified as soon as I drop it. So yeah, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.